Back down here, working on the dune buggy. I have a lot of things to get done on the list today. But first on the list, where I'm gonna start, I'm gonna weld this freaking roll cage together so it's not bolted and that it's permanent. All right, what is next for this old girl, now that the roll cage is all welded up and solid, is we've got some serious disassembly to do. I'm gonna disassemble. We're pulling both the rear swing arms because I need to gusset them, and that one is a little bit tweaked. I'm gonna try and straighten that out. And then another part is down there. You see those spindles? You see how weak they look? Look at how tall it is. Anyways, we're gonna pull that apart and we're gonna be doing some serious gusset work on that so it's nice and strong. But I'm gonna disassemble it all in one go, so. Okay guys, so like I said, one of the trailing arms is a little bit tweaked and I'm gonna pull them off to gusset them, but while it's still on, I'm gonna try and use a big 2x4 to wedge it. Let me show you. So you might not be able to tell on video, this one is straight and this one is just a little bit funky. You can tell better in person, but I'm gonna wedge a board down in there and try and crank it that way against the yellow part of the frame and see if that'll straighten it out at all. It might just have to run the way it is and then I make it strong. So we'll see. Okay, so after freaking around with trying to twist this back, this is what I've come up with, okay? So it needs to twist this way. So I've got a jack going up on the left side. I've got this braced to the frame, setting on this side so we hold it down. But the problem I was running into is that like this, I would jack it and then it would just lift the whole buggy up pretty much. So I took another board, nailed it or screwed it to the frame of my garage, and then screwed it here so it holds the whole frame of the buggy down on the ground while I jack up and twist this. So let's see how this works. See what fails or if it works. So I'm gonna jack. It might be working. Okay, so that isn't bracing, but that's fixable. We're gonna try it again. Okay, here we are again. I kept running into this, flexing, and then the whole buggy raising up again when I'm trying to twist this thing. So it's turned into a carpentry project trying to bend a piece of metal, but I'm ready to try it again. This should be all solid, firmly pointed right there so that the frame will not go up. That's braced there so that will not go up. Let's just freaking try it. Let's see. It might be working. I can hear the ceiling creaking up there, and I see that bending just a little bit. It's raising the frame, and my jack is maxed out. Dang it. Well, I'm gonna keep thinking. All right, so I got the arms out. I wanted to show you guys. I mean, it's hard to tell on video because it's not that big of a twist. But if you'll see, this sits higher than that side. And then on this one, they sit equal, or if anything, this side's a little bit higher than that side. So it is twisted. You can really tell, honestly, the most by the shock locations, the way that they just come off. But the thing about it is I don't really have the tools to bend something like this here. So I pulled them off. I'm gonna take them to my work, and we've got some better tools there. So I'm gonna table this while I work on the other stuff. As I was looking at these more and deciding what I'd like to do, I noticed something. So they're sitting completely level here, and one of them is just mounted higher than the others. And at first I was like, okay, that just looks crappy, why'd they do that? But I quickly realized this is the driver's side, and this is a small vehicle with relatively soft suspension, but also designed for two people. So I'm thinking with this mounted higher, it puts more preload on the driver's side shock, keeping the vehicle more level. Now, whenever I was looking at them and deciding how twisted, if they were twisted at all, that was a big factor. But now that I'm seeing that those are just mounted differently, that's really the part, the shock mounts were really the part where I was like, wow, this looks really twisted, you know? But since I know they're mounted differently now, I'm leaning a lot more towards just keeping them the same. And I used a little bit of this. I held it on the ground, and then I used a level on the rotor there to kind of figure out the camber or whatever on both of them. And they weren't the same, but it was close enough that, first of all, there's a good chance that it wasn't perfect when it was fully built originally. And also I think it's close enough for what we're looking at doing here. On top of the fact that once I weld a bunch of shit to these, they'll probably end up flexing a little bit just from the heating and cooling or whatever. So it's not gonna be perfect. I think these are okay. I'm not gonna go through the massive amount of effort of trying to twist it perfect because I'm not gonna get it perfect. There's a good chance I'm gonna break it. So yeah, they're gonna stay how they are and they're gonna get reinforced. What I'm gonna start working on next is these are our super weak little steering knuckles. Very tall, very thin, very weak. I'm gonna put a gusset here, down to here, and I'm gonna put a gusset here, down to there. I just gotta be mindful though, not to start scrubbing the tires at all with it, but I'll adjust it whenever I put it back together anyways.
Okay, so what I'm working on is I'm gonna do a little bit of CAD, cardboard aided design. So I'm basically gonna cut out the gussets that I need for here with cardboard and then use them to make it out of metal. So
this is what I made. Bang. I'll probably end up having to cut some out of there because you don't want the tire to rub. And then I've got this one. Ka-chow! Now, I gotta make these out of metal. After an hour or two of work, I've got all my gussets made and they're ready to weld. This is how they look. Bang, support. And then bang, more support. With our spindles reinforced, it's time to move on to the rear suspension. I'm gonna start figuring out exactly what I'm gonna weld to this to make it stronger. Yeah. Alright, this is how they turned out. Looks alright. Looks a lot stronger. I doubt they're gonna twist, but I still might add some more later on. But now we gotta look at something over here. So this small little gearbox controls our forward, neutral, and reverse. And also, believe it or not, there's a little differential in there. But on these gearboxes, they are prone to failure in the differential area. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this apart. I'm gonna take it out, then take it apart, and then weld the diff. So then we'll have a solid axle. And it will be able to handle more power, which we will be giving to it with that guy. And then we'll be able to put it back together and it'll be a little bit more reliable that way too. Won't have to worry about it. Plus, a solid axle is much better for off-road, which is probably what I'm gonna be doing with this thing more than street driving. It's really new looking oil, but it's also pretty shiny if I'm being completely honest. Oh, it freaking worked. All right, there's our empty case, no chunks, but a lot of glitter, I was suspicious that these had already failed, but they haven't, that I can see. So that is our differential. Very little, very cute. This basically allows on turns, as the wheels turn, it allows the wheels to spin at a different speed basically, so that the tires don't scrub against the ground. But also when one wheel grabs traction, it'll just make the other one just spin and spin, which makes it not as good for off-roading. But basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna clean this out and we're gonna weld all these gears together so that it's just one piece. So, yeah. Also, I've never done this before. So, let's hope I don't screw it up. I just made these little squares to go in there. It's gonna sit right in on top of there, and then it's gonna sit another one on the opposite side. Kinda just right in there like so. Here, right in there like that. So then I can weld to all the gears and then that same piece, and then I gotta put another one on the other side and do the same thing. So I will show you what it looks like once it is all welded. Show you. That's what it looks like in there. It's still smoking, it's still super hot, but I did that on both sides. It looks super ugly, but there's really not much I can do about it, just because how the hell is anyone supposed to get in there and grind it? Plus it's strong and no one's ever gonna see it ever again, probably. So now all I gotta do is just put it back together, and yeah. diff all back together. It looks nasty still, I gotta clean it off, but I'm gonna let the gasket maker completely set before I fill it up with any oil or put it back inside the buggy. But now I think before we do this, I'm going to put a bunch of other stuff back together and kind of get it back to a roller status now that we've done all the suspension reinforcements that we wanted to do. So yeah, let me get started on that. Okay guys, so I decided before I'm going to put this back together, I actually want to reinforce the swing arms more than I have already. So I didn't feel like pulling the tubes out, and I didn't feel like grinding tubes for another hour or 2 hours. So I made these gussets. They're gonna fit like this. I'm gonna do one, do one right there, and then I'm gonna do another one right there like that. Make it stronger. So, interesting thing I found with these Rokita buggies is this top nut for this ball joint here, you can't fit a normal wrench on it. It won't fit in there good enough, and you can't do it with the open end either. I tried this 11/16 and a 17, neither of them fit. So I actually had to make my own wrench that's just ultra thin wall so that I can even fit in here and tighten this bad boy up. I just thought that was interesting that they would even design it that way. still got to do a seal on that. That'll probably be next video. I want to do bearings all the way around. But this is where I'm going to stop for this video. Next video, what we're going to be doing, I have a stage 1 kit set up to do some performance mods on the engine. We're also going to do some tweaking with the torque converter to get some more usable power out of it. I want to do some more cosmetic modifications, and then we got a few weak points we got to tighten up with the steering and like I said, with the bearings and stuff. Hopefully next video, assuming parts get here quick enough. But thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.